What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. I want to talk today about dedication. People love that word, dedicated. They put it in their bios. They talk about it in interviews. They use it to describe themselves. But very few people actually stop and define the word. What does it mean to be dedicated? Well, let me define it here, clean, crisp, and clear. Dedication is the decision to stay loyal to something after the emotional reward disappears. Not when it's exciting, not when it's new, not when people are watching, but rather when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, and when no one's clapping and no one's watching. That's dedication. Most people confuse dedication with motivation. That's where they get it wrong. Motivation is just a feeling. Dedication, on the other hand, is a choice. Motivation comes and goes, dedication stays. Think of it like this: motivation is how you start, dedication is how you finish. And that's why most people don't build what they say they want to build. They start strong, they come out of the gate loud and humming, and then they quit quietly. Not because it's impossible, but because it stopped being emotionally rewarding. Dedication looks like showing up when you're bored, showing up when you're tired, showing up when you're not inspired, showing up when it's messy. It's not heroic, it's repetitive. Dedicated people don't do extraordinary things occasionally. They do the ordinary, boring things consistently and relentlessly, and that's the separator. They don't renegotiate the agreement with themselves every single day. They know, I've already decided. So instead of asking, do I feel like it today? They ask, how do I do this today with whatever I've got, whatever I have in the tank? Dedication is loyalty, not the current version of you, but to the future version of you. The version of you that said you wanted to become something more. So when you don't feel like training, you're not doing it for the you today. You're doing it for the future version of you that wants to be healthy in 10 years. When you don't feel like writing, you're not doing it for the you today. You're doing it for the you that wants to build something and build something you'll be proud of. That's dedication. Acting in service of who you said you want to be, not who you feel like being today. Does this make sense? Is this registering? Dedication is rare because you tolerate emotional discomfort without changing direction, and that's hard for a lot of people because most people quit when it stops being fun, when it stops being validating, and when it stops being impressive. In other words, when they stop getting those claps and those cheers. They mistake boredom for a sign that they're on the wrong path, but boredom is usually just the transition from the novelty of it to mastery. And if you can stay past that point, you're gonna separate yourself. Every time you stay when you wanna leave, you strengthen your self-trust. You become someone who finishes what they start, keeps their word to themselves, and doesn't flinch at discomfort. And ultimately, that becomes your identity. And identity is more powerful than willpower ever will be. You don't have to hype yourself up. You don't have to act in alignment with who you wanna be. You act in alignment with who you are. And that's the real reward of dedication. Not the outcome, but the person that you ultimately become. So yeah, motivation is the spark for sure, but dedication is the burn. Motivation gets all the attention. Everybody loves being motivated and riled up, but dedication is what actually builds things. So if you're still here when it's boring, you're dedicated. That's how you're gonna know. If you're still here when no one's watching, you're dedicated. If you're still here when it's not feeding your ego, you're dedicated. And that's what actually changes your life. It's not the excitement, not the intensity, but the loyalty over time. That's what it means to be dedicated. I felt strongly about doing this video today because at times I've questioned my own dedication, my own motivation. But I always go back to those early years when I was grinding and building to try to make it as an all-state high school athlete and then get a college scholarship and then ultimately transition that to success in the NFL. And people always said, what was your motivation? What was your inspiration? Sometimes I struggle with that. What I realized is that, yeah, I was motivated. Yeah, I was inspired, but what I really was dedicated. I was loyal to the process over time. And if you want to ultimately go from where you are to where you want to be, you want to become that best version of you, you've got to be dedicated. Hope you got value from the video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow on the next one.